Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and tonight I bring you Pride of Olympus with a new voyage. Pride of Olympus is our starship, or Merkaba if you're into spaceship and UFO mysticism. And we're going to be gathering together to start a new voyage. And today we're going to be defining that voyage in a little bit. But before we do that, I'd like everybody to introduce themselves, and I'll do in the order that you arrived. So, Sue, would you care to introduce yourself and your connection to science fiction fandom?
Oh, my name is Sue McClure, and I am in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm a meditation specialist, but connecting to the sci-fi world, that's also connecting to the universe when you meditate. And the sci-fi world is kind of a lot of times disclosure on how we see the world and the universe around it, as well as time, as well as perception of ourselves and other people.
Very well said. Tina.
Hi, this is Tina Chandler reporting from the very warm state of Florida. Always been a science fiction fan. That was one of the few shows, Star Trek was one of the few shows my parents would let us watch on a religious basis, and just have grown to love how it's grown and expanded since then.
Thank you very much. Brian?
I'm Brian Chandler. I own Comics, Cards, and Stuff in Fort Myers, Florida, and I am commanding officer / president of the USS Odyssey Sci-Fi Fan Club, and always been a science fiction fan. So here I am.
Welcome. Thank you for being here. Setna of Khemet.
All present and accounted for. I've been in love with sci-fi since The Outer Limits in black and white, and then Lost in Space first in black and white, and then Star Trek. I'm an admitted Trekkie since the beginning. My favorite episode was The Trouble with Tribbles, of course. And the other, I guess, was Mudd's Women. But I've always been involved in the supernatural and paranormal because of the way I grew up. And all I can tell you is I feel like science fiction is kind of like a mirror into what's going to happen. I mean, look at the communicators on Star Trek and then look at the old flip phones. Hello. Here we go. Future is now.
Yeah, I agree. I see science fiction as something almost prophetic. Not in that it's written in stone, but dreaming of things to come, or things that might come if we don't watch out. Thank you. And
you're welcome.
Pam, who just came in. Pam, introduce yourself and your connection to science fiction. Okay, I think Pam is muted. Pam, you're muted. Okay, we'll come back to Pam. Okay, I know that Pam and the Chandlers have both been involved in science fiction fandom and especially Star Trek fandom. Sue, have you been involved in science fiction fandom?
Oh, there's Pam.
We'll get back to Pam. Sue, are you involved in science fiction fandom at any point?
Oh, there you are.
Hey, there's Pam. Do you want to go for Pam and I can answer the question afterwards?
Okay, sure. Pam, introduce yourself and your connection to science fiction.
I'm Pam Fernsler, and I'm 76 years old, and I've been in science fiction since I was 12 years old.
Awesome.
So I've always been connected as long as I've been a young adult, an adult from my library in a rural community today.
And you're still involved with Starfleet, is that correct?
In what?
With Starfleet and Star Trek fan.
Region 7, USS Sovereign, which I am currently not attending for various reasons, which I will not go into.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Sue, are you involved in science fiction fandom, or have you been involved in science fiction fandom?
I have been involved in science fiction fandom off and on throughout my life. It was Star Wars, It was especially when they did the Ewoks. I could relate to them because I'm short like they are. I'm actually only 4'7.5", and I
Wow.
don't look like it. But yeah,
You're afraid, you're afraid.
well. Just don't hand me a Dorito, okay? I might be inclined to hang glide with it. Um,
Oh,
but I have I've been a part of one of the big things that I was a fan of for quite a while. The more recent stuff was even though I'm always in for the good guys, but General Hux, I actually looked up into his history. Thrawn was another one, and Vector Hillis was another one. I don't think he was really a bad guy. I think he was more of, I mean, he did work for the Empire, but he wasn't trying to be a bad guy. I think he was trying to be a good in the Empire, which I know it sounds contradictory. But yeah, I've been in a lot of stuff. I've even been at some of the sci-fi conventions as well. Especially when Sequest was out, I got to meet some of the cast and crew of Sequest at the Savannah Convention Center at the time. That's what it was called
So
here in St. Louis.
you've been involved in Star Wars fandom.
Yeah,
Did you ever play any role-playing games with
yes,
science?
I grew up with Dungeons and Dragons actually. Me and the neighbor boys. They were surprised because they thought it wasn't a girl thing to do to play Dungeons and Dragons back in the day. No girl should be involved in that, but they were surprised I already had an interest in that before I met them. So it was like a total mind blown for them. But I played Dungeons and Dragons with them. I also played like with GI Joe toys. I've also played with like the Marvel and DC comic stuff. I was into all of that.
Oh, good. That is
Yeah.
fantastic. And you,
I had action figures. I didn't have Barbie dolls.
they're probably worth a lot of money if you still have them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brian and Tina, you guys do not belong to Starfleet Region 7, but you have your own Star Trek organization. Would you care to share a little bit about that?
Go ahead.
Well, we're kind of independent now. We found out fairly recently that the president of our national group, which was United Federated Planets, passed away a year or so ago, and the organization kind of went with him. So we are pretty much our own independent thing at the moment. But for years, we were part of the United Federated Planets based out of Oklahoma, and we had the chapter of the ship. I was actually chief of operations for their Starfleet for quite a while. So it's just kind of in a holding pattern at the moment.
And last time we talked about this, you said that you haven't been as active as you were once upon a time.
Yeah, correct. We've had several people move out of state, some pass away. We're just trying to get reorganized at this moment.
Hopefully today we could move you a few steps closer to that. And have you guys played role-playing games?
Oh gosh, yes. Dungeons and Dragons, ElfQuest.
The old fashioned Star Trek from the 80s.
Yeah, he's the one that loves to say roll for initiative.
Yes. All kinds of things like that. The old they call it Star Raiders, I think. We played that for a while. Battletech, all that kind of stuff.
So you have an extensive history with not only science fiction and Star Trek and fan organizations, but also with role-playing and convention.
We've actually put on 2 conventions of our own in 99 and 2000 here in Fort Myers. And we had Robert O'Reilly, J.G. Hertzler, Walter Koenig, a couple other people. That was fun. A lot of work.
Very cool. Setna, how about you? Have you been involved in Star Trek or science fiction fandom? And
yes. I often used to go to the Javits Center when I lived in New York. I met William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy, and DeForest Kelly, a few others that came. It was a lot of fun, and I had, of course, my Federation shirts, and I was part of a Star Trek Enterprise group. They were out of Massapequa, Long Island, and we were, we even actually had a bridge and some things. So we did role playing that way too.
Oh, very cool. I didn't know that about you. I learned something new today.
I don't tell you everything.
Good. Leave. Oh,
I was Chekhov.
awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to be Scotty though, so I could beam people up, but I thought that was fun.
Triple the amount of time you told the people to expect things. We could fix it in a third of the time. I like that about Scotty. So he was always the miracle worker.
I cannot make it go any faster, Captain. We were missing dilithium crystals, that stuff. That was fun.
Well, hopefully we'll have fun with this.
Of course we will.
Pam,
Yo,
care to add to your experiences of science fiction fandom beyond Star Trek? And have you ever played role-playing games?
I was ruined by board games, so I kind of came late to the role-playing stuff. I didn't do Dungeons and Dragons, and I hear the younger set has done a lot of that, but I'm not one who got into it. I was already trying to do 2 jobs at one time and trying to survive, so I never got into it. Occasionally, I would play with somebody who would roll the dice and say, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I'd like to do this." He said, "No, you can't." It's because your character doesn't do that. So I did find it interesting, but I honestly didn't get into it a lot because I was already doing, I was trying to survive with jobs and, unemployment sometimes and welfare at other times. And yeah, boring, huh? I see you there.
Life,
No,
life-
I had an MRI earlier today and I had to take medicine for it. So I'm like,
So no, I'm interested in learning about it, but I really haven't done it like a lot of you have.
Okay, well, if you want to get involved with this, you'll pick it up at some point. I developed a very simple system that just uses like one dice and modifiers. And it's either you could do something or you can't do it. And then how much did you do it by and how much did you not do it by? So one dice roll gives you all the information you need. So we'll be using that. And if any of you play by email games?
No.
I haven't, no.
Okay, we'd be doing play by Facebook.
It's better that way, I think.
And I ran a few of them on Facebook in Greek mythology. And some of them ran for like a year and a half. So we'll be doing that. And in terms of role-playing game. And I listened to ideas. I brought this up like a number of times over the years. So I figured time to start and stop talking about it and just do it. And I'll tell you the history of it. I was looking to form a science fiction type of group based on Hercules in the Marvel comics. And the series had just come out where Hercules was in outer space. It was like the 23rd or 24th century. And he was kicked off Mount Olympus for being noisy during Zeus's birthday or something. Went out to outer space and started having adventures in outer space. And then through a series of mini-series, that continued for like over a couple of decades.
Oh.
Ongoing story, but this is at the beginning of the story when we first started telling it. And I remember the Star Trek episode with Apollo, who mourns for Adonais, and that was in the 23rd or 24th century. So I figured, what if I combine those 2 stories and have Hercules looking for what happened to Apollo in the Star Trek episode? I was going to do a role-playing game. I'd already discovered those, and I was running them. And I still run role-playing games, by the way. I run them now in schools for kids, and I do like 3 games a semester in different schools. So I wanted to run a game. Nobody was interested in doing this. I was working in a hospital at the time, Elmhurst General Hospital. So I figured, let me set it in Norse mythology because the Marvel Thor was more popular than the Marvel Hercules. And I made a flyer and I made a poster and I got more people interested in that. But that didn't really go anywhere either. And then one day after reading a Star Trek book on Klingons, it was the fast, which was a company that made role-playing games set in Star Trek universe. They had a Klingon module. So people immediately, ooh, Klingons, ooh, Klingons, ooh, Klingons, ooh, Klingons. So I decided, okay, I'll Klingon thing and I'll throw the Greek and the Norse stuff in there, you know, in the backstory. So that's what I did, and the Klingon group gathered as many people. The first adventure we had in role playing was, you know, what if the Hercules from Marvel Comics met Star Trek people and tried to figure out what happened to Captain Kirk and Apollo and trying to straighten that whole thing out. So anyway, encountered Klingons, wrought havoc with the Klingons, and they eventually figured out that he was mad at the Federation for offing Apollo or whatever they did to Apollo. So they pointed him in the direction of the Federation. That's how that played itself out. And then they became background characters in this bigger story. And I entered into Klingon fandom, and we created a Feld, which was like a Klingon tribe or like a group. And we created mythology for it. And the mythology was adopted by the New Jersey Pagan Ways. So we had all this stuff going on. We had radio stuff going on. Bob Bosco, who's not here, had this spaced out show on local TV. So we were doing a lot of stuff, and that lasted for around 15 years.
Wow.
So were you guys, oh, forgive me. Were you guys doing improvisations?
Yeah, it was all improvisation. We started a convention.
I like that. I'm good at that. I love improvisations.
And we influenced the fandom. Klingons were like communists for a while when they first appeared. And then they were like, you know, like full reptile people for a while with the early movies. So because of our background in mythology, we had Klingons as like Viking bikers from outer space, you know. And we made them like
There
noble
you go.
characters and stuff like that. And then people from the Star Trek show and the magazine and the guy putting on dictionary, they used to come to our events. We had a convention, and eventually a lot of that stuff got into Star Trek. Klingon became noble warriors and like Viking bikers. So we influenced the show to some extent. So I want to pick up the original thread and explore mythology, not just in our culture, which we're doing in other shows and for other projects, but the mythology as it exists in science fiction. So in Star Trek, for instance, you had the Greek mythology. You had like Mourn for Adonais, you had Plato's stepchildren, you had a lot of Troyes, you had the thing for the circus, I think it was called. You had the Medusans, you had like all sorts of things from Greek mythology playing out in Star Trek. Then Babylon 5, you had the Vorlons that could appear as any god you happen to worship. So they were kind of like shapeshifters who were very robotic and mysterious. And then you had, of course, Stargate, where the gods were mostly Goa'uld or ascended beings or beings from the galaxy. And so these are ancient myths transplanted in science fiction. Unfortunately, a lot of times the ancient gods became bad guys.
Yeah.
So we're going to take some good guys. So we're going to play a bunch of gods, and we're starting in the Star Trek universe to figure out what happened to Apollo.
That's a great thing. So you need an archaeologist, paranormalist.
Or a god who is into archaeology, apparently.
Yeah, well, that would be Hermes, wouldn't you think?
It would be Hermes. And again, you can make up a god if one, because there are more gods. Like in the Greek pantheon, there are hundreds of gods. Most of those names we don't know. So you're going to create your own unique god form. That's fine also. But it would start there, and then we would be a multiversal type of thing. Where all these different realities exist simultaneously, and we'd be exploring living mythology through science fiction. So
My question is, who actually did make these certain gods or being the bad guys? because they always say the ones who are going to take up the victor are ones going to rewrite the history. That's the bad part about it. So that's a question to ask: is who has determined who's the bad guys and who are the good guys?
Yeah, the gods are bad guys in our club.
Yeah.
And being a pagan, I kind of resent that. You know, it's like, excuse me, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. That's why I want something different, you know.
Exactly.
So this way, it's their interpretation. This, like Star Trek, is actually against humanity evolving, even though they say they are for societal evolution and rising to a higher form. Every time there's a superpowered being on Star Trek, they're against it. It began with the very first episode, which was the planet that they landed on, and with the glowing eyes, and the guy, his friend, got powers, and then became a god.
Yeah, the one with Sally Kellerman. She was the blonde.
Okay,
Yeah, or Q.
or
Oh,
Q.
this is the old Q, sure. Or what was his name? Trelane?
Oh
Lane,
yeah,
yeah.
Trelane.
Trelane. He was before Q, and he was just as mischievous. And he was a child, they said.
Hmm.
Some people say he was a child Q. Trying to story.
He was a very All I know is Gene Roddenberry was very cynical, and you could see it in his writing. And a very dim view of reality or humanity, I guess.
So the pagan gods or the mythical gods, they're also the bad guys in things like Supernatural
True.
and other horror-based shows.
Well, in Supernatural, even or Lucifer, all the angels are bad guys.
Yeah,
And that's kind of weird. I'm sorry, that was weird.
yeah, it is. It is kind of weird.
Lucifer was the good guy, and the angels were all the bad guys. Yeah, nah.
So I want to take these stories and change them around a little bit and make the gods the good guys, or at least the neutral guys. So what do you guys think of this idea? Any ideas to add to the idea or to reshape it?
I think it's a lot of fun. I can't wait.
That
Okay,
sounds
good.
awesome.
Okay, good.
I want to create kind of a Doctor Who character.
That's what
He
I
was
was
one of my
thinking
I
of.
mean, Tom Baker as Doctor Who was my like all-time favorite Doctor Who, and I'd love to be him. I'll even get a scarf.
How about curly hair?
I like Tennant.
That's why the hat's on. There's no hair there.
Oh, I like Tennant and Matt Smith. Those were my two.
Hmm.
Which yours too?
My Doctor Who characters were David Tennant and Matt Smith.
Okay.
Although I liked what's his name, guys? I forgot. The very first Doctor. I liked him as well.
The one before Tom Baker.
The very, very, very first one. The old guy. I forgot what his name was.
William
It
Hartnell.
was black and white.
What, Brian?
William Hartnell.
William Hartnell. Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
I started watching it with Tom Baker, and I thought he was wonderful.
Hartnell visited Troy too. I have that somewhere. I have a whole crate of Doctor Who somewhere in the basement.
Yeah, I got them all too. And
I played
Torchwood.
with that too.
There's an antique shop near me that has an old British call box. And I call it every time I go past. I'm like, that's a TARDIS. I want that. But you know, it's like $5,000. It's ridiculous,
Oh,
and it's not even in good shape.
So
You should probably make it more realistic.
you want to be a Gallifreyan?
I would think.
Okay, so we have a Gallifreyan. Pam, what do you want to be?
I want to be Artemis, biodiversity.
Okay, good. So we have a Greek goddess. We have a Gallifreyan. Chandlers, Brian and Tina.
Well, the people that my OC character comes from, they're feline. Well, they're animalistic in nature. So, goodness, and she is a feline based character.
Okay.
So, segment, I would say.
Are you talking about Cations?
Yes.
Sekhmet has a terrible temper. Why don't you be Bast?
Right.
Sekhmet's very nasty. She's the bad part of Hathor.
Ooh.
Egyptologist here.
Answer that question, Tina, because I know better.
We have a cat person, so. Have a
Yeah.
And there's always Freya too.
Think about-
I can't hear you, Brian.
Hang on.
Hang on.
No, God, no. There we go.
Oh, there you are,
Um,
Brian.
I'm going to have to think about mine for a little bit. I'm not quite sure what I want to do.
Okay. Any suggestions on the premise or any questions about the premise?
Sounds good to me so far.
Are we still doing some stuff more under the Greek kind of gods flags, or is there anything?
That's part of the story. So if you don't want to be Greek gods, you don't have to be. Obviously, we're using.
Well, I've always played a fairy.
Okay, so you want to be a fairy? What type?
I'm actually, and believe it or not, I know this sounds interesting because I like to invent things and stuff. So I'm either a time fairy or a tinker fairy, which is very
Okay.
similar to Tinkerbell.
Think about or combine them.
You know, if you could be a muse,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Greek fairies.
Okay, I can go with that. But the problem is they don't have too many powers, though.
They inspire people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's about it. But
Calliope, well, their mother is the goddess of memory.
well, the only news one that I said put suggestions in people's ears. So whenever they had to deal with enemies, they could suggest the enemies to do something other than attack them.
Yeah. And I want my Time Lord to be more like Pan, so he's a mischief maker.
Okay, I'll go with the muse idea.
Okay.
Thank you, Michael.
Oh, you're welcome.
Define her powers as you like, because again, we don't know everything about the music.
I'll do the power of suggestion.
Okay, I have actually.
Just like dry cleaning.
I have actually a clay terracotta thing of Greek Hercules being crowned by Urania, which is the muse of astrology and astronomy and the stars.
Oh,
Cool.
Feet away from me.
is that like Urania?
Yeah, like Urania.
Yeah, okay. You said it in Greek.
Can't help it. I am
Well, yeah, you're Greek.
Pamela.
Yo.
You want to be Artemis, okay? Now, what I did with the Klingons after we started with the role playing and just getting to develop the characters is we started hooking up with local Starfleet groups. I think I was definitely hooked up with Starfleet, but I also hooked up with I think the United Federation of Planets for a while. And we started interacting with them, and then we hooked up with other Klingon organizations and started interacting with them as well to add depth to the fantasy reality we're creating.
Do you speak
I was with
Klingon?
UFP. I was with UFP also for a few years. The Phoenix.
Oh, awesome. I tried a few years ago, actually more than a few years, probably a decade ago at this point, to do this, and I hooked up with Starfleet, but nothing ever came of it.
Mm.
That figures.
We had some ideas for interaction and a lot of discussion, and it never went anywhere. So that route's been tried and exhausted. But I do want to contact other groups, and eventually, once we have our act together, and we have our story, and we're up and creatively interacting with living mythology and science fiction and popular culture, I do want to interact with other groups to make the reality bigger and more solid. Now, you indicated, Pam, that you don't want to be involved with your starship in Starfleet Region 7, am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Is
the USS Sovereign. I have some issues at this point.
Okay, so we will not interact with the sovereign in this capacity. Okay. In terms of the characters, what is a muse doing in outer space?
So,
I'm well, I can actually go in between different dimensions. So
Cool.
it doesn't matter where I actually go. I can be in outer space, I can be on a different planet, I can even visit other people's ships. Because how do people end up with suggestions and ideas on how to combat other people or how to navigate through their environment? And not
Oh,
just
you
in
know
one
what?
place.
Sue, did you ever see any of the Riddick series?
What series?
Riddick
Oh
No.
yeah.
with Vin Diesel? Because they have an elemental. It was played by Judi Dench. And that's what you're doing. She could float through space. She could change portals, change dimensions. She was an
Yeah.
amazing, and she could get into people's minds.
Yeah, she would be absolutely everywhere. That's why, for example,
Yeah.
she actually had the creativity, for example, like inventing something like a box. Because remember, there's no such thing in nature. So, how did people get the idea of a cube or a box or even a square? So, what if it was her
Well,
idea?
but what about crystals?
Exactly.
They,
Well,
they they come square.
they would. Do they come
Sometimes
square
they do.
naturally?
Yes, out of the ground.
I have never seen that. I've always seen them jagged around.
Oh no, they come out round. They come out square sometimes. And salt and sugar crystals do too.
Hmm. If they had the microscope to see them, but yeah, but she would actually, inspire things that weren't just outright out there,
That's cool.
in order to make worlds more easy, to navigate through. And I wouldn't be surprised if she was the one that helped invent the wheel.
That sounds like a lot of fun. And Setna, you're Seder Gallifreyan.
Yeah, kinda. So
What-
I'm gonna be the devil's advocate. I'll
Oh,
be the spiritual pain in the ass. I'm gonna look around and every time somebody has a theory, I'll change it. Or they'll go to look for something and it's not there anymore.
Ooh, a challenge! We're gonna go to war here.
That's the
I'm
whole
writing
deal,
everything
isn't it?
down.
You'll have to find out where I am or who I am or what I am.
okay.
I'm going to change forms too, and I can change dimensions, and I can change your mind.
Oh my gosh, he's making
Illusion.
Q so much easier to deal with.
Mm.
Pamela, Artemis has decided to join this crew. What did she think of her fellow crewmates so far?
Uh, bring it down a bit. You have to know, you have to have like the Time Lord says, you have to have some sort of fixed point that you can deal around. Some things don't change. I've watched Doctor Who as well. And he
Well,
says there are fixed points in time that you can't change.
he may say that, but he always got lost.
Well, that you can blame that on the TARDIS.
Well, yeah, but he was the one setting the coordinates.
Sometimes not. The TARDIS's name, if you recall, is sexy.
Yeah, well, she could do whatever she damn well pleased. It's true.
Exactly.
Oh, we got an echo. That's cool.
Oh,
Must be a time thing.
Oh yeah, time distortion.
Well,
Ina, a cat has joined this crew too. What does she think of her companion?
Well, she takes things in stride. She tries to not let her temper override her good judgment. I said tried. If not, there's always a holiday to go scratch up.
Okay, very good. And Brian, how's your mystery person?
I don't know if it's actually a mystery person or not. I mean, most of the time when we would do role play stuff, I'd play just your typical human Federation captain. So no special powers, no anything, just a healthy dose of scientific exploration.
And solid wit, right?
mm-hmm.
So
I'm still kind of deciding what to play here.
or you could have the Odysseys being repaired, and you're doing this in between missions or something. You come up
Yeah, I
with
could
a
do that.
reason why you'd be on this vessel, and you're from the Next Generation time, if I remember correctly. The Odyssey.
Honestly.
What about it? I'm sorry, I missed that.
It was from the Next Generation timeline, if I remember correctly, or do I not remember correctly?
Yes, it's a Galaxy class dreadnought, first and only one that was ever designed for the Federation. First warship in 100 years, designed in direct response to the Dominion War.
Okay, there were in Next Generation timeline with the New Frontier, Peter David had picked up on the Who Mourns for Apollo episode, and he had the child that they had with Palamas join Star, become a navigator, navigate with his eyes closed, and then he stumbled onto the God dimension, and there was like a war with the gods. And it wasn't just the Greek gods, it was Odin was there. I remember, I haven't read these in like 20, 30 years. So that could be happening in the Next Generation timeline, and you're along for the ride because somehow this incident with Apollo sparked it off. It certainly has the child of the Union active in the story. So how would that be for a reason why you're on the ship?
Works for me.
Okay, great. Are you you're from the Next Generation timeline too, Tina, right?
Yes.
And how would that work for you? Because you're from the Odyssey too, I imagine.
That's you, Tina.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I have a cat in my lap, so I got distracted.
Well, you're cat themed. You should have cats in the home.
So I'm sorry, what was the question? I apologize.
You're from the Next Generation timeline too. You want to be part of the Odyssey crew on the special assignment?
Well, actually, I'm first officer on the Odyssey.
I'm sorry?
I'm first officer of the Odyssey, as well as a crewing member of my world that's on special assignment. Anything that has to do with my people has to come through me, since we're kind of so new to the Federation.
Okay, there's a war with the heavens people. Mythical beings are coming into non-mythical territory. So if you could think of the reason why you'd be there in that story, and then we'll go back to the Time Lord, Setna.
Yes.
If the story's evolving, what sparked your interest in being a part of this mission?
Well, I heard about what happened thousands of years later about Apollo. And since he was a friend of mine, I was rather insulted that he just vanished. And I hadn't seen him. Hadn't spoken in a long time. So I'd like to find him.
Okay, very good. That's a good reason. And Sue?
Well, I'm just part of like I said, I go everywhere. I'm kind of like that character Tess on Voyager. You know,
Okay.
just a kind of a crew member, but not an exact really rank or anything. Just kind of a contributor to the crew, if you will. So wherever I go, whatever group I end up with, sometimes I'm there to help, and I'm just a contributor.
Can I be a stowaway?
You want to?
Yeah, I'd like to just sort of gotten on. They dock to get fuel or something, or dilithium crystals or something. And I just sort of got on the ship.
You're part of the repair crew. You just stayed after.
Well, yeah, but I'm not really there at all. I
And,
just snuck on. I morphed into somebody else that was part of the crew for a couple of minutes so I could kind of get there because I wanted to get off the planet we're on.
so you can be like Dr. Smith in
Well, yeah, I guess so. That would be fun.
okay.
I was thinking of what is the character that Rene Auberjonois played?
Odo.
I would like to be like that so I could meld into different shapes and forms.
So you're not a satyr, you're an Odo, whatever race they were.
Whatever an Odo is. It sounds like fun.
Odo, yeah. Odo is one of my favorite. I met Renee, by the way. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Before he passed away.
His sister was the choreographer for the Philadelphia Ballet for years, and she was my client. So I met Renee also. Wonderful man.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, if you want to do the whole liquid shape shifting, Dominion, yeah.
After
Oh,
all,
it's
my last name's Waterman, so why couldn't I become liquid?
They
oh
were
yeah.
the black hole, if I remember the wormhole. And they came from another sector in space, if I recall correctly.
But
Yeah.
Michael doesn't mind sleeping in a bucket for a few hours.
Oh, Bill, it kind of beats a petri dish, you know.
And Pam, you're on the mission, I guess, to follow your brother.
Yes, he is. He's my twin. And while we both deal with light, I'm the one who can reflect it in various ways, very scientific ways. I'm a huntress, so the psychometry level in my brain is out of orbit. And she's an animal whisperer. It's
Okay.
sort of like Aquaman, but she can command the animals. They can listen to her. So I have some skills that can definitely help find Apollo.
Hey, Brock,
He's
wasn't
fantastic.
your character around during that first mission to Apollo?
Mhm.
Okay.
Was Artemis around? I don't think she was in the episode.
She wasn't.
Did she go into the wind or wherever the gods went to Apollo?
What is it?
In that
What?
episode, Zeus came and told him, to get off that mountain, and he called to all of them and said they were right.
Yeah, I
Right.
did.
He said that they were taken away by the wind, like that.
He just got bigger and vanished. Poof.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll have certain things that happen in Star Trek, these stories told about the incident. So we don't need to stick to what they did exactly. So Who Mourns for Adonais will be the first one. So you don't have to watch it again. It's probably available for free online. Or I'm sure many of us have the collections of the Star Treks. I know I stopped collecting Star Trek with this new batch of Star Trek things that were recently canceled. The Kurtzman Star Treks, I don't have all of them. I have a lot of them, but I don't have all of them. I stopped after a while. But I have all the original Star Treks, the cartoon Star Treks, the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. I have all those in the movies. So I'm sure many of you have Star Trek collections. So you can watch it or not watch it. It's up to you.
I even had the figures, the original figures, and they're gone. My sister took them. I don't know what, but I had everybody. I had like whoever was able to come out. It was by Mego, I think, right? Mego?
Mhm.
Yeah, and I had them. I had Kirk, I had Spock, I had what was it, Lieutenant Yeoman, the Yeoman. I had her, the blonde with the big hair.
Yeah, Janice Rand.
Yeah, and I had Uhura, which was cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I had a lot of the Amigo figures once upon a time. They were lost, and then they moved to the.
My sister gave a lot of them away. She would trade them for other Barbie dolls.
Oh God.
Well, she was brat.
And Points for Adonis came out in book form. James Blish, I think his name was. He wrote all the episodes and we added a few details to it. There was a photo novella with Star Trek comics, except it was photographs that they used instead of the drawings. They continued and expanded the story. And then Peter David, in his New Frontiers books, continued the story like during the Next Generation year. So you can, if you want to read all about those, we could flesh out the history and the reality we're creating, but you don't have to. It's, again, it's our invention ultimately and eventually. So your own creativity could substitute for what has already been done. Any questions?
I just think it's going to be a ball. That's all.
That can be involved too. Okay, what I will do is I will adopt one of the many groups I have floating out there on Facebook to serve this purpose. And I will invite you all by next week. And so we have a forum. And I guess what everybody can do is write a little bit about your character.
Okay.
If you want to draw a picture, you can draw a picture. If you want to take a picture, take a picture. I've been diagnosed with Parkinson's, so my mind is all fuzzy as it was before. and certainly my manual of dexterity is a lot fuzzier than most people are. So costume appearance at a convention doesn't seem very likely. It's what people point to the time. I'm not going to rule it out for us collectively. So if we have a lot of fun with this, we could extend it beyond Zoom and YouTube and Facebook.
Awesome.
So anything anybody want to add, or any ideas anybody want to throw out, or any suggestions anybody have to make?
Well,
Well,
are we going to team up to, obviously, some of us are, have partners and such. So are we going to team up? Like, for instance, if Sue and I were going to be working
Yeah, I was
together
thinking
on
of that.
something.
Thinking you and I would team up. That would be a pretty lethal team right there.
Well, because you can change people's minds and I can change people. So that could be
You
fun,
could also confuse the heck out of them. We can make somebody
yeah.
dizzy.
Yeah, I thought that would be, you're talking to someone and you're drinking out of a cup and I might have been the cup.
There you go.
You would just love having. Never mind. Anyway.
Mm.
Yeah, in the beginning, the first thing we're going to do is just become familiar with the story and everybody define their characters a little bit. And then the first mission will be to go to Pollux 4, I think it was, during the time shortly after this happened. Can't penetrate the veil in time and space to show us exactly what happened. There are records that Starfleet has that we have, and there are accounts that people have given, and we know what's going on in the future. So we know that Apollo's progeny survived, but we don't know much else. So then we're going to write like little stories on what we find on the planet. So if you and Setna want to team up for your story, that'll be fine. If the Odyssey officers want to team up with their story on what the Odyssey crew is thinking and doing and what their prerogatives and motivations are, they can do that. And if Pam wants to sit around with Hercules and discuss how to mythically and epically solve this problem and rescue Apollo or bring him back or find out what happened to him at least. Maybe he was taken by the wind, maybe not. Because in Star Trek Continued, they didn't have him dead. He was still around. Death was like an illusion that he cast.
He's an immortal. He's a deity. They don't die. They just kind of find a retirement place, like Margaritaville.
Well, and also, I don't know if you guys saw Thor: Love and Thunder. Did you guys see that?
Mhm.
Yeah, they have that omnipotence city. I don't like exactly how they handled Zeus and the Olympians. They made them the butt of jokes. But that concept I'd like to explore too. A heaven for gods,
Well, there was supposed to be, what was it? I was reading something about in the constellation of Regulus, that there was kind of a god's, um, what would you call it? Club Med.
Yeah.
And they were like, you'd be hanging out, and all of a sudden you'd see Zeus, or you'd see, I don't know, Escalapius, or but 1 minute you'd see Osiris, or Thor, or Silver Bells, who's the Iroquois great grandmother, or Hiawatha. They'd all be appearing out of nowhere.
Yeah, that concept existed in metaphysics also. It's called the Empyrean.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's in Thor: Love and Thunder's comedy. Take the concept. The Shazam movies had the concept, especially the second one. There was like a paradise for gods, but they had lost it and they were trying to get it back. I don't know if you guys read Savage Dragon, the comic book. They had a god land, which is very similar. It was all the different gods and different pantheons all together in one place. So we're going to have a place like that too.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, maybe that's where Apollo's hanging out right now. I think what would be fun if we could get if you could invent clues,
Right.
what evidence, we get down to where he was on that planet and see, oh, maybe there's a ripped piece of sequins clothes that he wore, or, there's a laurel leaf leading to somewhere, or a golden sandal. He had gold sandals on him in the episode.
gold on a piece of fabric. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
I thought it would, be similar to like a Dungeon and Dragon thing. We have like we're 6 of us here, but the most unlikely groups of people that would get together to go on a quest together to solve something or to find something. So
there's a lot
yeah,
of that's a really it's a really cool idea to like think, okay, we're here. You and I are diametrically opposed because you can pick my brain and I can get into your brain and we can find out, stuff about each other that may not even be true because you're projecting it or I'm projecting it.
yeah. But
You
if
know,
Zeus actually gave us an assignment because something he can't either do or interfere with because of his position. So he's asking all of us to get involved and to figure out or to solve or to find something that would balance out humanity for some reason. Something
yeah.
has gone unbalanced, and we have to go find a specific crystal or a specific power or a specific person in order to set something right.
There may be a time lord, a magician of some kind that has the right key or the right magical words or something that, we need to acquire to move forward.
Yeah.
we're all on the
That's
same wavelength, so that's good.
that's very Dungeons and Dragons to do it that way.
And Bob Bossler had expressed an interest in playing along, but he's not here right now. And Michael Koff also expressed an interest. So
I wondered about Michael. I was like, where is he?
it's on a show about psychic mediums, and they might run,
Oh,
they might not be able to make it. So he had the information. I told him to come later if he wants. And I guess
well,
do it.
I'm going to see him later in the week anyway.
Michael
Okay.
Koff, stop by you.
Yeah, I'm going to see him on Friday. No, we're on some kind of thing with Paul on Friday.
Okay.
You are too, actually.
Am I?
Yeah. You forgot?
No, Friday. I don't think so. He's his thing that he was doing on Friday was moved to Friday the 31st. This is doing something else.
Oh, never mind. Okay, nobody told me.
Let's straighten that out. Yeah, there was scheduling conflict that I was having, so we have to move it to the 31st. But
I'll get with him tomorrow.
yeah, you'll find out. I might be ill-informed, and so I can get better informed.
Well, Mercury is doing its thing, so misinformation makes its match.
Okay, so that's pretty much it. And the next question is, do you want to record the adventures and broadcast it?
Why not? They'd make, we may get a book or a movie out of this somehow.
Yeah,
It could be very good plot
inspiration.
summaries.
Inspiration's always good for the public.
I mean, most of us have writing experience, so it would be a good thing to start as a plot summary.
You might have to then disguise a lot of the science fiction races. They can't be. They can't be. It's like Star Trek or Klingons.
No, we'll make them up as we go along. Hell, I was a makeup artist. I can make it up.
I got it. That took me 2 seconds. Oh my god.
Brian and Tina, do you want to record it and put it out there for you to watch?
It's all right with me.
Sure.
Okay. Pam,
Yeah,
do you want to put it out there for people to watch?
sure.
Okay. And next question is this a good time for everybody? It wasn't today for Bob or for the other Michael, but is this a good time generally the third Thursday of the month?
We kind of did this before, so yeah. Remember Hercules earlier on a couple of years ago? We were always on Thursdays, so why not?
Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
so this will be our day, and this will be our time, and I'll see if I can extend it, add half an hour to it, so we have an hour and a half. Because an hour will go by really fast, and we'll have fun and see where it takes us. Invite others to join. You never know; we might be able to start a whole organization.
Do you guys want to have a game board?
Yeah, we're gonna do a role-playing game.
That's what I mean. So do we want a game board like Dungeons and Dragons has?
Well, initially, we're gonna have to use our mind, our theater of the mind, but eventually, yeah. I run all my games with boards and miniatures. Not
That's
everybody.
cool.
Just out of curiosity, do you use the traditional die, or do you use the 16, or the 20, or the 40?
It doesn't matter. I use either 20-sided dice or 6-sided dice. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
That's very complicated. Oh my.
The kids like the 20-sided die, but then they always like the 6-sided die because it gives you an answer easier, less variables.
Just as long
I'm
as they're
old
not.
school. I've been playing D&D since middle school, and I've got like 18 different sizes of dice from 20
You're
sides,
like
6
me on
sides,
that one.
12
Yeah, you
sides
and
to
me.
whatever. So
Yeah, the biggest one I had was 20.
I just like the 6-sided ones from old board games.
Yeah,
I'm boring.
we could use 6-sided dice initially, then I'll see if I can get it with 20-sided dice and we'll play with the dice. I found though, and again, this might just be for me, but I've adapted other rules, like some people want to play Dungeons and Dragons. So bring the rules, everybody always wants to go back, regardless of their age, to the simple one dice system. This is where they get stuck like fighting for an hour, in one combat. They just roll the dice, we know what happened, onward we move on, the story continues. Okay, I guess so we'll close with everybody giving their contact information, and I'll contact everybody when we can invite you to the group. If I find a group with you guys already in it, I'll take that, but there'll be less people to invite. But again, we'll go by the order in which you came in. So Sue, how can people find you and enter your mundane and imaginal and metaphysical worlds?
I am actually on Facebook. You can contact me on Messenger. You can contact me on the Messenger version of Twitter/X. You can contact me on Instagram. You can email me at SooLightworker, SOOLightworker @gmail.com. If you want to make an appointment with me for anything, questions, dilemmas, I'm here.
And Sue will be back on Sunday to discuss spirit guides from elsewhere,
Okay.
as will Setna.
Yes, I will.
Now we go to the Chandlers. Tina and Brian, how can people find you and enter your world?
On Facebook under Tina Chandler, or if you want to shoot an email over, it's an ship numbers USS 71832 @yahoo.com.
Thank you. And Brian?
best way to find me is Facebook, just by name.
Awesome. And Setna?
Well, Michael K. Waterman on Facebook. You can also get me at Phone a Wizard because I'm the Wizard of Phone a Wizard on Facebook. You can get me on TikTok under my name, Michael Waterman. It's also Setna_ComeWest. Or on the magazine, you can get Michael K. at todayswitch.net.
Thank you very much. And Pam?
Okay, I'm on Facebook and Messenger. You can text me at 267-934-8112. That's the fastest way to get hold of me. And other than that, it's just a simple PJ Fernsler at outlook.com. Nothing extravagant.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And I'll close with last time I did something like this with multiple types of science fiction, we disguised. We weren't disguising it that well because there's a private game in Pennsylvania in our store. We had a store called the Barbarian Bazaar, and one of the things that had is games. So we used to run games in the back. And the two last games that we held there, one was called Wookiee Holocaust.
Oh,
Die Gungan Die. So those are our last two games that we had. That was a mixture of outer space and Star Wars and Stargate and Star Trek.
Oh my God.
Doctor Who and just every science fiction genre that existed in every show was allowed in the equation. We had a lot of fun with that. So I'm hoping we'll have a lot of fun with this. I'd like to thank you all for being here. I'd like to thank you all for joining in this adventure. And I look forward to our next interaction. Have a wonderful evening.
you too.
Thank you.
This is going to be
Bye.
so much fun.
Onwards to infinity and beyond.